Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for joining me for another Alfred Hitchcock Presents review. Today I will be talking about Season 5, Episode 4, Coyote Moon or Coyote Moon. I always thought it was pronounced Coyote, honestly, but they say Coyote in the episode, so we'll go with that. And this episode stars Macdonald, Carey, and Collin, Wilcox, Paxton, who I recognized from the Twilight Zone episode number 12, Looks Just Like You, because I just rewatched it yesterday, and no, I didn't plan that out, but it's kind of interesting how that worked out. And I actually thought this episode, Coyote Moon, was pretty solid overall. I really enjoyed it. I thought the ending could have been a bit better, but I'll talk about that when I get there. But overall, a very entertaining episode. So we start out with Hitchcock, and he's sitting on a moon. Yes, really, and I won't say too much more about that. So our main episode starts out with our main character, a professor, and he finds a coyote on the highway. And he talks to this gas station attendant about taking it to a vet, but the gentleman doesn't seem too interested. But eventually he convinces him. I think this scene is here just to show us that the professor definitely has some compassion and cares about living things. So at the same time, there's a girl sitting on the road named Julie, and she's observing all this. Eventually she approaches the professor and she makes up a story which you can immediately tell might not be on the up and up, and the professor's reluctant, but eventually he agrees to give her a ride, being the good-natured person that he is. Also, it's notable that the coyote escaped at this time and ran off, which was kind of interesting. So they're driving along, everything seems to be going okay until they approach this elderly gentleman. I think his name is just Pops. And Julie says, "This is my father, pull over." So the professor's not too thrilled about this because Julie didn't tell him there'd be more passengers. So they're making small talk, and you can instantly tell that these people are up to something. This is some kind of scheme, probably to steal. And to the professor's credit, he seems to know this as well right away. These people aren't the best criminals in the world, but you just got to kind of go with it. It's pretty obvious they're up to something. They don't hide it real well. So at this point, they're driving along, and the professor gets a flat tire. So he pulls over, luckily pretty close by to a place. So they go to this diner, and Pop and Julie's earlier story doesn't check out. They talked about how Julie's brother works at this place, and he's not there, and they try and cover it up. But again, we know this is a lie. At this point, Julie also fakes passing out, and this gives Pops a chance to steal the money from the diner counter, which why it was left there I don't know, but again, you just have to kind of go with it. A lot of strange stuff like that in this episode. So they keep going along, and the professor's angry. He knows that Pops did something to sell his tires, so he wants to kick them out. He pulls over again. He says, "You need to get out of here and go on your own." But at this point, the third member of the family, named Harry, Julie's brother, comes by, and he basically threatens the professor, "You better not leave us behind." So at this point, the family has taken over, and they've left the professor in the back. Why they even brought him along, I'm not really sure. But again, this needs to happen for the episode to continue. So at this point, they're driving, and they run out of gas, and excuse me, the professor doesn't seem too upset about this. So the family winds up hitching another ride. They do this a lot with a garage truck, to try and get some gas. But it turns out the professor, this was all part of his plan, and he had some gas in reserve. So he drives off to this diner where he finds the family again. He sees them inside, but they don't know, obviously, that he was able to use the car. So he calls the police at this time and says, "Hey, these people have been robbing me. They've been up to no good." So this is where the episode really gets crazy. There's this other gentleman driving by in a car, and I guess maybe he looks a little bit like the professor. Sure, we'll go with that. We've gone along with everything else. So at this point, the professor takes this other man's car, trying to disguise himself as this guy. Julie goes to hitch another ride as the family is ready to leave. And of course, because he's in a different car, she doesn't know this is the professor. So he deliberately makes the car stall out. At least I think he did it deliberately. Who really knows? And so what happens is the brother comes up to try and fix the car. At this point, the professor gets out. The other man who owns the car comes out and says, "Hey, these three people took my car. They tried to steal it, and of course the family is in the car. So the police come by and arrest the family, who insist that this guy invited him into the car. But of course he didn't, because it was really the professor that invited them into the car. You got all that? Because it took me a minute. But that's basically what happened. So basically the family, the professor tricked the family. He gets some of his stuff back and he drives off, and that's pretty much now how our episode ends. Now, despite this ending feeling a little bit rushed and didn't totally work for me, I did think this was a really entertaining episode. It was suspenseful throughout, and I enjoyed it. So I'm going to give Coyote Moon a 3.5 out of 5. I do recommend this episode. It's just a solid Alfred Hitchcock Presents episode, and one of those, like a lot of them, where you kind of just got to go along with certain plot elements. But if I do, I think you'll enjoy Coyote Moon. So once again, I'm giving this one a 3.5 out of 5 for Coyote Moon. Thanks for your support, and thanks for watching.